Hello everyone, my name is Danny and this is another episode of Saturday Stitching. If you're new to this channel, this is just a casual stitching circle, if you will, where I show off the projects that I'm working on and maybe do a little bit of chatting at the end or maybe in the middle. Those of you who are returning, thank you so much for coming back to watch another episode. As of this recording, I have 31 subscribers, which I can't imagine 31 people showing up to watch these videos, but that's really cool. I usually start off these videos, well, before that, I do have my fan going. If you hear a bit of a hum in the background, I decided not to turn it off this time because my laptop, I record on my laptop, the webcam on my laptop, and the fan on that has started to sound like a jet engine. So actually it sounds better with the fan on than without the fan on at this point. And plus it is in the upper 80s and I'm in an upstairs bedroom. It is hot. Unless you want to see the sweat dripping down my face again this week, it's better with the fan, trust me. So, let's get to it. As you know, there was no video last week because I was trying to give my hand time to recover. Unfortunately, my hand still has not recovered. So, even though it looks like it's moving normally, just like, MS is an invisible disease. It looks like it's moving normally, but I can't. It's very stiff and very uncomfortable, and right now it's not stinging much, but as soon as I touch the yarn, that's when it really gets uncomfortable. But that I still did some work. I just did some needlework. It just went slowly. So my needle, I usually start these videos going down the needlework rotation, but that kind of got blown to smithereens, but I'll go down it quickly anyway. My fluffy lap Afghan I worked on, but there's not much to show. Mondays are for my daughter Maya. Hey Maya. Are for my daughter Maya, and her socks. I did a little bit on that, not much to show. Tuesday, normally for my daughter Sydney, I finished her halter, which I showed last week and on Instagram, but so I was going to move on to her Afghan, but I didn't. That blanket got no love. Wednesday is my daughter Chloe and her socks. I did do a good bit on her socks, so I'm just an inch away from starting the heel, but again, that's not very exciting, so I'm not really going to show that off because like I said, I'm only an inch away from starting the heel on the first sock. So I'm not really going to show that off. But I did, as I mentioned before, I figured out that knitting on the socks is a perfect way to work on, a perfect thing to work on while we're playing video games. We were playing, oh gosh, can't think of the name of the game now. I keep wanting to say Last of Us, but that's not, Life is Strange. Life is Strange. We finally finished Life is Strange, and so I worked on the sock a lot while we were playing Life is Strange because they work the controller and I do the knitting and we all make the decisions together. So that's how we play a game like that. So I made some headway on her sock. I'm trying to finish that quickly because I want to go ahead and get her sweater started before she goes back to school in a month. Because I think that's a top-down sweater, and I think I'm going to have to try it on her as I go. So I want to work on that before she leaves. Thursdays are for my son Isaac, and while we were playing Life is Strange, he gave me, I was working on a different project, he gave me a little side eye and said it must be nice to have somebody who knits things for you. Now he's already told me that he does not want me, he would not wear a sweater or a hat or a scarf or anything that I made for him. He would wear socks, he said, and he did pick out the an Afghan, because he does use an Afghan, cover himself with an Afghan when he sits in his recliner, so when he gets off work. So, but I don't have the yarn for his projects, and I thought he didn't really care whether I made him anything. I thought he was kind of being like my daughter Sydney, who is like tolerating the fact that I'm making her a halter, but she doesn't really want one. I figured out halfway through. So I thought he was just tolerating the fact, but him making that little joke tells me that he's kind of hurt that I'm working on everybody else's stuff but his. So I made sure I put in a little progress on his, but there's not much to show again, because all it is right now, it's not interesting. It's a square or a rectangle or whatever. I mean, you can see my progress keeper in the middle there, that yellow dot in the middle right there. So you can see that I got a couple inches done, but right now there's nothing interesting. And honestly, because it is a because I'm holding two different colors together, this is done in like a moss stitch almost. I never can remember the difference between seed stitch and moss stitch, but it's one of those two. But you can't really tell it because I'm holding two different colors together. So I'm really almost tempted to pull it back out and just do garter stitch. But then I'm thinking, well, the moss stitch is probably making this fabric more sturdy for the purpose. So I'm continuing, even though all that knitting and purling feels like a waste of time. I feel like I could get it done much quicker if I just garter stitch the whole thing. But so we'll see. So that's all I got done on that. And then that was last week, and then I didn't do the video on Saturday, and then I got an invitation from my neighbor, my former neighbor, my friend, who moved away. She lives in the next town over now, and it is her youngest child's first birthday. And so she invited, and you know how it is. The first birthday party isn't really for the child. It's for the parents to have a cookout or something. At least that's how it is around here. I mean, the baby gets presents and everything, but, you invite a bunch of adults because babies don't really play with each other much at that age. So, and I normally decline these kind of things, but their family has, when they lived next door, we didn't socialize with them really much at all. But, the neighbor, they were the only neighbors that we had that neighborly, other than my other friend who used to live across the street. There's only been two sets of neighbors that we've had that neighborly relationship with, where, can I use your phone? Can I borrow a cup of sugar? Can you pick my kid up who missed her ride at work? That kind of thing. So I feel like I should, get over my hermit ways and go to this party. Especially now that I haven't been working, I really don't see people that much. So this also gives me an excuse, because our budget is kind of tight, and I do have all this yarn, and well, not all this yarn, but because I don't have the kind of stash that some people have, but I do have yarn in the appropriate colors, and I've been itching to make a baby blanket or a baby sweater or something. So this past week, my schedule, as I said, kind of went out the window once I got that invitation, and I started trying to figure out what I can make. I had 3 weeks when I got the invitation to get a present done. And even me, as slow as I am, can get a present done in 3 weeks. So some of you who follow me on Instagram have seen the start of the present, although you may not know that it was a present, because I'm being vague on Instagram because the little girl's mother follows me on Instagram. So I showed the project just to have something to post on my Instagram, but I am being rather vague about it. So let me show you the project first, and then I'll show you what it's supposed to turn out like. This is going to be a little bit of a mess, because you'll see, well, it's out of camera range, so you won't see all the balls hanging off of it, but this is the beginning. Can you see it? This is the beginning, and yes, I know it's not very wide, but this is the beginning of the baby blanket that I am making. And we'll toddler blanket, blankie, whatever you want to call it. And this is the chart that I am working from. Most of you can tell right away what this is. This is, and for those who really don't know, that's the Wonder Woman logo. The little girl's name is Diana, and her parents named her after Wonder Woman. But despite everybody knowing that, none of her family has gotten her any Wonder Woman type stuff. The baby has like a onesie or a t-shirt, a little baby Wonder Woman t-shirt, and that's it. And maybe they were all waiting for the first birthday to get Wonder Woman swag. Maybe they couldn't find Wonder Woman type stuff until now, because the new movie just came out, so I'm sure there's new merchandise that wasn't necessarily out there before, even though Wonder Woman is a perennial favorite when it comes to female superheroes. So it could be that they'll get loaded with Wonder Woman stuff at the party, but I'm going to take that chance and throw, because I don't like to give, like if somebody says they like cats, I don't want to give something with cats on it, because everybody in their family probably knows they like cats, and then they get bombarded with cat stuff. I had one of my best friends that happened to her. So I try to pay attention to what the person likes, but it looks like if it's something really common that they'll get overloaded with, I try to go in a different direction. But I just couldn't resist. I wanted to make something Wonder Woman related for this little girl. So that's what I'm working on. I originally, again, if you follow me on Instagram, I originally started out, and I still have pieces of it, doing it corner to corner. And I really liked the way this corner to corner fabric was working out. And it was going to make a nice big, about, according to my measurements from my gauge, it was going to make a nice like 45-inch blanket, 45 inches square. So because this chart is 50 squares by 50 squares, 50 squares by 50 squares. So it was going to make like with my gauge, it was going to make a 45-inch square blanket, and that's a nice size for a toddler. So I was happy with that. Unfortunately, trying to use what I have on hand, as I said, because the budget is tight, I'm using what I have on hand, and this is all I have. This is the closest blue I have to a Wonder Woman blue, and technically it's a little dark. If it was one shade lighter, it would be better, but the one that I have that is the shade that kind of matches the graph, I have one that shade, but I have less than, I have like a ball. If I rolled it up in a ball, it'd be about that much. So definitely not enough to do corner to corner. And so I used the blue skein, dark blue skein that I had, and I thought I might make it, but I kind of knew I wasn't going to, and I didn't. I made it. If you can see, I don't know if you can see on my marked off chart, there. You can see the lines I marked off on the chart. That's as much as I got before my yarn ran out. I got right up to the red, and then I had enough for maybe 1 or 2 rows of blue left, and then it was done. I was not going to make it all the way across. And even though I hinted to my husband that I could use some more yarn for this blanket, he did not pick up the hint and go get me any yarn, which is understandable because it was either buy me another skein of yarn or put more gas in his car to get to work. So, and so I switched from corner to corner, I switched to Tunisian. And I'm not quite as happy with the Tunisian because with this pattern, it looks like I don't know if you can see, this is supposed to be the bottom of the W, and it looks like it's getting really pointy. It looks like it's more pointy than it is in the picture. And I mean, I know it's not going to turn out exactly like the picture because of the shapes of the stitches, because like knitting stitches and crochet stitches and different things turn out differently. And a lot of people say Tunisian looks a little bit more like crochet. I mean, more like knitting in the height and length of the stitches. So knitting stitches are taller than they are wide when you're doing a chart. So at least that's the way I remember it. I could be wrong. But I'm hoping once I get a few more rows that I'll be happy with the way it looks. And as I said, I know it's not wide enough. So I'm going to have to go around the edges because I have plenty of red. And I have, now the yellow is going to be the other thing, the gold for the W, because I am literally pulling apart old UFOs to make a ball so that I can have enough for the yellow in this project. So hopefully, because if I don't have enough yellow for the project, I have plenty of red and I have plenty of black, even though there's very little black in the thing. So it's the blue and the yellow that are the issue. If it turns out I don't have enough yellow, that's why I need to work on this project quickly this week, because if it turns out I don't have enough yellow, then I need to switch gears totally and make something else. I've got some baby sweater, little girl, a couple sweaters, but I'm thinking really more like a dress or a sun hat type thing that I could crochet or knit, because I still have that periwinkle-ish blue that I made the halter top out of. I still have a whole big egg of that, so I would have to switch gears and make a baby sweater or something else like that. But I really am hoping this blanket turns out. If I have enough yellow and I have enough blue and actually get the whole square made, then I'm going to go around it with stripes of black, or maybe go around it with red and then white and then blue and then white and then red. Go around as many times as I can to make it big enough for a child. It's not my original plan, but I hope it works out. Other than that was a lot on a blanket that I didn't do a lot on this week. And by the way, if you do follow me on Instagram, and you see me posting more cryptic photos, I don't know if I'm going to post any more photos of the blanket, because at this point it will become recognizable if I post anything else. So, but if I do post any more cryptic photos of the blanket, don't mention in the comments that it's a Wonder Woman blanket, because like I said, she follows me. The only other thing that I have that I worked on since you last saw me, and this worked on, is that's a relative term. And I can't remember, I might have showed this in my last video. I don't know if I did this before or after, but that watercolor yarn, that Red Heart Super Saver watercolor, remember? That I said I didn't know what I was going to do with. I may have mentioned that I was going to make a Virus Meets Granny shawl. Well, as far as I got on that was trying to figure out how to because it starts with the virus part. And again, I've never done a virus shawl, but you know, why be logical and make my first shawl be a virus so that I can learn the pattern? No, I'm going to do a virus and a granny at the same time. But this is as much as I've gotten done so far, and I haven't picked it up again because, like I said, my attention turned quickly to the baby blanket so that I could get as much of that done as possible. And actually, I was making quick work on the Wonder Woman square until I got up to the color changes, because that's what always slows me down, is the color changes, is adding all of those bobbins. I don't know if I showed you the back, but see this tangled mess back here, and all these yeah, that slows me down to no end. And that's why the 2 Afghans that I'm making for my daughters have not been picked up, because it just makes me not want to pick it up. And I was hoping with the corner to corner that it would go faster, and the corner to corner did go pretty fast because it was all one solid color up until you get to the red, and then I thought, okay, it's going to slow me down, but by then I'll have a good chunk of it. But anyway, I did finish one other thing, and that was a start and finish yesterday, because it was Friday is my husband's day, and again, I don't really have any big projects for him right now, and he doesn't really want anything. Although I think I want to make him one of those plaid hats when I get the yarn in. But in the meantime, I still have plenty of the losing my train of thought. It happens in the heat. The scrubby yarn that he bought me. I have the tan cotton I bought for myself, and the tropical colorway, the polyester scrubby or the acrylic scrubby that he bought me for Mother's Day, and I'm trying to use that up. And Red Heart put out a pattern. You probably already saw me post this on Instagram. Red Heart put out a pattern for they're doing like 7 months of scrubbies or something to promote this yarn, and so they're putting out new patterns all the time for the yarn, and I'm trying to use up, because I thought those balls would go quick. I could still get probably 2 dishcloths each out of what I got left of those balls, but as soon as I saw the pattern for this, I knew I had to make it. This is the Scrubby Swim Trunks washcloth. Now, I know they look more like pants. I followed the pattern, and it's supposed to look like, in the pattern, the space between the legs does not look as wide, and it looks more like a pair of shorts. But for some reason on mine, I used the needles they suggested, and the space came out wide and makes it look more like pants, because I think it's supposed to look more like that. But anyway, and I didn't have, it called for 3 different colors of scrubby, which I don't have. And I mean, the one color was just so that you can make a white tie for the waist, and so I use, this is the tropical acrylic scrubby, This is the scrubby made out of cotton, which is slightly more soft. It still does that scrubby action, but it feels slightly more soft on the hands. And it's a little bit easier to weave in the ends with this. And the black is sugar and cream cotton that I have left over. So, I mean, not really the most practical washcloth, you know, because you got this big gap in the middle. So, like, you know, you're holding this on your hand and you're trying to avoid the gap. It's a weird shape for a dishcloth, but I had to, because it just reminded me of my husband and his collection of swim trunks and how much he loves going on cruise vacations and going to the beach and, you know, going to the pool, and it just made me think of that. So I made this for him. So now, and I'll probably make another washcloth, maybe a beach ball or something, to use up the yarn that I have. I could make dishcloths out of this, but I feel like I want to. We're kind of into color coding in our family. We periodically go through these things where we try to make like all the dishcloths one color, and then all of this child's towels one color, and then all of this child's towels a different color or whatever. It never sticks for long, but we keep trying. And now, or my husband usually keeps trying, and now I've kind of gotten into it as far as I want the dishcloths to be made out of cotton or scrubby or something that I've made handmade, so that when you pull them out of the dryer, you know that these are dishcloths and not washcloths. And I want his particular scrubby washcloths to be made out of the same thing, out of this color, so that he can pull them out and know, okay, all of these are my scrubby washcloths. Right? Maybe it doesn't matter. Anyway, that's everything that I've worked on. I went on longer than I expected, but I always go on longer than I expected. I always think that I don't have anything to talk about, but realistically, being here in the house, I'm not really by myself. You know, my kids are home from school. The knitting's done, by the way. So the knitting and the crochet and whatever are done, by the way. So if that's all you came for, despite the fan, I'm sweating anyway. If that's what you came for, then I'm done. So you can turn it off for the next 2 or 3 minutes of rambling that I'm about to do. But I'm glad that you came. There's links to my Ravelry and my Instagram in the description box, and I should be putting them up on my About page soon. And I hope I see you when the next video shows up. If you click the little bell for notifications, you'll know when that happens. You can or not, whatever. I'll see you when I see you. Bye. Okay, if you're still here, as I was saying, I always think that I'm not really here alone in the house. I mean, my husband comes home every night. I have 3 of my 4 kids who are here. But if you know our family, you know that we're really kind of a house full of loners. So everybody kind of goes in their separate directions, and and does their thing, reading or drawing or whatever. And I do that too, and I like being a loner for the most part, but then I get in these periods where I want to talk, where I want to have something to talk about, someone to talk to, or I have things on my mind that I want to talk about. And Facebook helps, and sometimes I blog. My blog has been around since my children were little, but sometimes I may only post once a year because nobody really reads it. It's kind of a battle for me where I want to talk to people, but then I don't want to talk to people too much. I don't want to have to leave the house. I don't want to have to I don't know how to do. I don't want to say introvert. I don't want to say social anxiety. I don't want to say, I know all of those things are real. But it almost feels like it has become a trend for everyone to say that they have social anxiety, or that they're an introvert, or that they'd rather, be at home on their couch, or that they're a hermit or whatever. And it gets to be hard for me to tell who are the people who really struggle with that kind of thing, and who are the people who are just jumping on the bandwagon and saying that they do. So I don't necessarily want to jump into that camp of I have social anxiety, or I have this, or I have that. I don't want to label myself any kind of way, but I just say that, I like to be home a good bit, but then I do have my periods where I want to have people to talk to. I have more that I want to say than I thought I did once I start talking. That's another reason why I don't label myself, because people who know me don't think of me as being a shy person or whatever, because once I do start to talk, as you can see, once I do start to talk, I go on and on and on and on. So, and that doesn't fit the image of what people think of as a shy person, or a socially awkward person, or what have you, because I can put on the face when I have to, because like I've done customer service as a job for many, many years, and I can put on the face, and I can put on the voice, and I can sound professional, and thank you very much, I'll be glad to help you with that. If you can hold just a moment, please. I can do the whole thing, but then I need to recover. I need a day to just like put my head under my blanket and be like, don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. But anyway, that was enough of that ramble. Other than that, things are the update for my child. Hi, Maya. I look forward to seeing you in a week or so, as you said. Things around here are going semi-okay. Budget is still tight. 2 of my kids are still working, hoping that my son gets things together and manages to get into the community college this fall. My twins will be going back to school in another month, and I'm glad to have them home, but it'll be nice to have it's a balance. I kind of like the house when nobody's here, but then I kind of like it when they're home and I get to see them. So it's, I'm not that typical 50-year-old who's suffering from that whole empty nest. Oh no, my kids have gone off to college and I'm so alone. I'm happy to see them when they're here, but there are things I enjoy about them being gone too. So I enjoy things being where I left them. And when I straighten up a room, it stays straightened up because there's nobody here but me. That sort of thing. So, okay, I have rambled enough. I was going to talk about ordering groceries online, but I guess I'll save that for another video, because this is almost 35 minutes. And I know I'm charming, but I'm not charming 35 minutes worth of charming. So I'll let that be. I'd love to hear what kind of projects any of you are working on. A lot of people talk about that summer, they're not going to record that many videos because it's summer. I'm not that kind of person. That I don't have anything going on in the summer. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going on vacation. We don't do anything. So I don't have plans during the summer, but I'm interested to hear what the rest of you do during the summer that keeps you busy. Other than that, hopefully I'll record a video next week if I've made some progress on any of these projects. If not, then you'll see me in 2 weeks. Okay. Bye.